It's now time to dive into non-biased and clean conversations with Uplifting Buzz Podcasts with your hosts, Gary Johnson and Marcus Grove. Why wait? Let's dive on in.
Well, good evening and welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Buzz Podcast with your host, Gary Johnson, and my wonderful co-host, Mr. Marcus Grove of Uplift Mobile. And we are so glad to be back for another edition of this podcast as we bring it your way each and every Tuesday and Thursday. This show is being presented to you by Buzz Report Media and Uplift Mobile. We are honored to have you join in and listen to our podcast on today. We have some very interesting topics on today. As always, it's just a reminder that this is a non-biased show where non-biased conversations happen, and we just bring you the information that as it's happening and affecting our communities. We do not take sides with one or the other. We just bring you the facts and have a clean and non-biased dialogue about what's happening and what's important. And that being said, we're going to get right into our show on today, on this wonderful and awesome Thursday here in the Port City. And welcome back, Mr. Grove. We had a week off, man. I tell you, it's been a roller coaster, but we're back. How you been doing?
Yeah, everything's going pretty good. It is hitting that warm, wintry type of snafu here. You know, it got cold and then it kind of warming up. So, but things are going good and ready to get into the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm enjoying this weather. Wish you can stay mild like this here for the rest of the year. I'm really not ready for that cold weather, but I know it's on the way. A matter of fact, I think for Thanksgiving week, it's supposed to be really, really chilly here along the Gulf Coast. So just making room for that. But man, as always, when we leave the airways, we come back. There's always some news to talk about and things that are happening, and we're going to try to touch on a few of those subjects on today with our listening audience and bring them up to what's happening. Just one thing I want to remind everyone here on the Gulf Coast in the Mobile, Alabama area, that there has not been a ruling in the District 2 Mobile City Council race as of yet. I was kind of expecting that to happen around the inauguration of the mayor and the new city council right before or right after. However, we are now 2 weeks after that, going on 3, and nothing have transpired or no word have come from Judge Hambright in regards to District 2. So that leaves many people wondering what's going to happen and what may possibly happen in District 2. Have you heard any movement on? I know it's something you have been watching, monitoring very closely on your end. Mr. Grove, have you heard any movement on that case?
I haven't. I think the consensus around the Gulf Coast is that we are satisfied with the status quo. Now Judge Hambright can come down and rule something totally in contrary to how people are feeling, but we're happy to see the new face in town representing District 2, and it could come any minute now as far as the ruling in the case. But I think that it would be, even if it goes against the current Zogby Act or law, I think that it would just be too much, time wasted, money spent to just go and backtrack.
Yeah. Just I wish that the people don't have to remain in guessing mode to try to figure out what's going to transpire with this seat and who's really going to represent them, and if so, a new election going to be held. When will it be? Um, but like you said, man, this can come down any minute, and it can very well be a ruling that many have not expected or was expected. We don't know, but it's something that remains to be um, seen here on out. Whenever that comes. In other news, Mr. Grove, man, in Washington, man, there's just so much going on in Washington, especially with this President Donald Trump, and these Epstein files. The House finally, voted to release, to compel the Justice Department to release the files, and then the Senate. And many people thought that this was going to be a game where, the Senate, stonewall this and hold it out, and allow the Justice Department to do what they want to do, and the FBI with these files. But Chuck Schumer, the Democratic minority leader in the Senate, asked for unanimous consent from the Senate to go along with the House to compel the Justice Department and the FBI to release these files to the public. And they did. They did the same day or the day after. They didn't waste no time, and they sent it to the president for his signature to make it official. And this is something that Republicans and the president most definitely have fought for the longest. And surprisingly, the president went on and signed it to get it out the way. Send it to the Justice Department and the FBI, say, release these files. What I mean, in your sense, Mr. Grove, why do you believe Donald Trump and the Republicans now all of a sudden on board of releasing these files?
Well, I think that in a lot of ways, Donald Trump does have a backup plan, as he does always. He does kind of always create these, alternative routes to things. I can see that in the news that he has said a lot of things, such as, um, Democrats were his Epstein's friend. Democrats were the ones who supported Epstein. And he has no business with Epstein, which we know is not true. Um, I think that he has alternative plans and alternative routes to it. And also it may bode in his favor just to kind of go forward, even, when or even if his name is implicated in multiple occasions. You know, um, it's kind of like just going for it just to go for it in hopes that everything kind of blows over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in a lot of ways, that's kind of the marker of his administration. He says things, he does things, and things do blow over. I mean, he said just recently that he wanted to go to Nigeria and start a whole war. That was just talk. But you know, it blew over, and in a lot of ways, I think that that's his kind of marker, is to just say things, do things, and you know blow it over. So I think that he has another something up his sleeve.
Mm. Um, do you think that the Justice Department and the FBI is going to continue to hold the information before it's released? And there's going to be some redactions to these files, deleting some names, covering some names to protect the president and people close to the president.
Yeah, most certainly. The thing is that in previous administrations, you have kind of like that separation of government. We have not seen that in this administration. This administration does kind of control the Justice Department, controls the FBI, controls the CIA. And so I can see where uh, redaction will take place. With it being something that is released, um, you know, people will always call for, more clarity and understanding into why the redaction or what is right here. I can see this being a redaction in many places, whole paragraphs, whole pages,
Mm,
being, um, and this is probably why he wants that, and once it actually happens, when people question why the redaction, hey, what's up with this page? What's up with this page? What's going to happen is they're going to say, national security. National security is going to come up. National security. National security. And that's going to be what defines, you know, I guess his presidency and his downfall, because his downfall, we can feel it. People can feel the beginning to the end with him. People can
right.
feel uh, his fraudulent election that he obtained slipping away, um, and in a lot of ways, this is what's going to really light the fuse. They're going to see, oh, well, of course he went along with it because it's heavily, heavily redacted. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and when they go with the flow of national security, because the interest of national security trumps everything else,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to continue to question, continue to push the needle and asking why, what's up with these redactions. And, I think eventually it may come out, in years to come. But for right now, people are not, they're not okay with this, even people who've voted for him are not okay with this, especially when it comes to children, especially when it comes to people who are underage and women. We're just fresh out of the Me Too era. And, whereas they were crucifying individuals such as R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, you have um, people all across the board in every area of life that were crucified for what they've done. And so when it comes out that, you know, clear and concise that Donald Trump had, his hand in all of that and was a prime person, then, we have to do the same thing, drag him down to the courthouse. Um, but I believe that part is going to be the most redacted section in it all. So I'm waiting to see. I'm interested, to see all of what comes out in all of this.
Yeah. Do you believe actually? Do you actually believe that this may be what brings his presidency to the end? Do you think this is a Watergate moment? Once all this information hit the fan, because I don't think Republicans want to go into 2026 with this, you know, on their coats. That they are part and associated with a Republican president that's head of a Republican party that's a predator that he's been accused of already, and now it's actual facts. Do you think they're going to run away from him or try to impeach him, or do you think that they're not going to be that rubber stamp as he thought that he had? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are Donald Trump is the Republicans' president. He's MAGA's president. He's the Republicans' president. And the alternative, which is the vice president, is not the Republicans' president, is not the MAGA president. I don't think that by and large, I don't think that people who identify with being MAGA Republicans want JD Vance at all. And so I think that they're gonna ride or die with Donald Trump. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily because of Donald Trump and who he is or what he stands for. They obviously see that he's, going downhill, but because of the fact that J.D. Vance, the alternative, is just not who they want and not the actual. Um, it's not someone who they could, believe in. uh, especially with his issues with his wife, his infatuation with Charlie Kirk's wife, all of that kind of playing into the news. And um, I think once, Donald Trump do get relieved, which I think, will come eventually, uh, either by fire or blood or fight. I think that eventually when JD Vance does come up, he's going to attempt to be this Charlie Kirk 2.0, which will really not work for him as well as it did for Charlie Kirk. The whole alignment with, he's obviously Christian. His wife is Muslim. He has said publicly that he wishes his wife convert to Christianity. And then his whole infatuation with Charlie Kirk's wife, it really is going to, I can see those two really getting together at least for a business deal to lead the next charge in this whole MAGA Republican thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Trump will, go down swinging, though. He's not going to be one to just lay down and just be finished. But at the point of impeachment, he will be pretty much, Republicans will have to choose whether to go with their second, best, or someone who they didn't choose to be their leader, JD Vance, or ride or die with Donald Trump. Well, the thing is, the Republican Party has to continue with or without Donald Trump. So, what they're going to do is, side on the side of continuation, and they're going to see JD Vance as the next great white hope. But only if he leaves his wife. And that's what I think that they're pushing for, because with his wife being Muslim and now obviously ethnic, for people who believe in that whole, Aryan nation or white nationalistic ideology, they're not okay with his wife at all.
Mm.
They want him to dump her, and possibly get with Charlie Kirk's wife, right? And so, or at least politically or business wise, to get with her. They don't want JD Vance's wife even in the picture anymore. So she's gonna have to either pull one of those Melania Trump type of deals where she's just not even in the spotlight anymore, or he's just gonna have to, send her packing. Which you can already see that is stirring. The nest is stirring. With comments that JD Vance has made, he wishes his wife convert to Christianity.
Yeah, and I find it strange. I mean, why would you go marry someone that you knew that didn't believe in Christianity? And now that all of a sudden you become vice president, you want to make it known to the world that you wish your wife would convert to Christianity. You knew this before you married her. Well, I mean, what she believed. I'm hoping that you knew what she believed in before you married her. So I'm lost on that. Why? I mean, why now?
Well, the real reason is now because he's popular. The real reason is now that he has money. He's popular. He's a figure for public specter. And before he couldn't get, this type of woman, a Christian. I won't say Christian, but one of those high class. Because that's the thing. People who identify with being Caucasian, they marry for class, they marry for status, they marry for money. And so with him, the whole reason he got popular is because he wrote that book, Hillbilly Elegy.
Right.
Basically saying that the hillbilly uh, is is in contention with everybody else, and we all know the hillbilly is, and in fact, um, the the leech that doesn't get to leech off of anyone, right? Because what a hillbilly really is an individual group that is away from society to the point where there's no competition. They're
Mm-hmm.
dormant. They're not active. They're dormant. They have nobody to leech off of. And so the Caucasian leeching off of um, others or blacks or anybody else, hillbillies usually are mountain people that take to the hills and have no one to leech off of. And that's what the hillbilly is. They're dormant and they tend to marry, inbreed, and marry themselves. And that book was made popular by him. He wrote it. But at the same time, getting with a high class, college educated, high status white woman was not possible for someone like him. Now it is, right? He has clout, he has his popularity, he has money. And so now he's seeing his opportunity. Whereas before, he probably most likely fell in love, for the sake of falling in love in a genuine stance. Versus now he's looking at money, popularity, and him and Charlie Kirk's wife look good together. And she's still young, right? So, J.D. Vance's wife is aging in every single picture that they're taking, and it's really because he's sucking the life out of her, a lot of things that he's doing.
Yeah, man. This this is one to remain to be seen over the next couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe after the new year on how all of this is going to play out. But I do know that it's not going to look good on behalf of Donald Trump, as and he knows it. He didn't think because soon as Congress reconvened and got passed the vote for the reopening of the government, and they swore in that needed vote out there in Arizona to elect the Democrat that would have been elected back for a whole month or two, and never was sworn in, but finally was sworn in and signed that discharge petition. They tried to get the representatives out of Colorado. They called a emergency meeting over at the White House with the FBI agent, director, and the Attorney General, all and maybe some others that having a meeting to talk about this very topic. What do they do now, and what do they do next, and try to get Boebert to take her name off the petition so they won't have the 218 to compel to release the information. So Donald Trump knows what's in stake against him in regards to this. Now he's trying to turn the tide to say, well, it was the Democrats involved. He always try to use these monkey wrenches when it comes to him. Just like he's trying to use these $2,000 stimulus checks, which he's not going to give $2,000 stimulus checks out.
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to deter the people's minds and get the minds off the SNAP being shut off and the government being shut down, and want people excited about he finna get them some money. He knows how to, ease the fears and calm people's minds so they can be on his side. That's what he's doing. And it's not going to happen. Because first of all, the terrorist money is illegal. And the Supreme Court can rule that it's illegal and you have to send all that money back. So then how are you going to pay these people their $2,000?
Well, yeah, I think that if it does happen, it will be done close to Black Friday, because he wants that money to go back into the businesses and with people who own businesses being satisfied with that, he may garnish a lot more people on his side. So it may happen, I think, closer to either Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or so I guess we're talking about what, next week, right? Or closer towards Christmas.
Yeah.
If it happens.
Yeah, if it happens. Yeah, if it happens. But I mean, yeah, he's just playing on the minds of the people, man, and trying to get them to fall in to his corner as he's the best president, for the United States. But it remains to be seen, what comes of this, and we shall see. Man, over in another topic, here locally, a couple of things that I don't know. I mean, one of them you may not know of, but that's the firing of the local police chief here in Mobile County, in Mount Vernon. But the news that broke yesterday about the arrest of a local school teacher, a white 40-year-old female that video surfaced of her beating her child, chastising her child, what we call in the Black folks community in the hood is whooping our kids. Now she's charged with several charges, and the sheriff says that Paul Burke says that more may be coming. And she was a teacher at that Mobile, Christian College Hill Christian Academy. Man, it's coming. It's becoming troubling where you cannot chastise your kids anymore. You cannot teach them right from wrong the hard way as when we were brought up. And you're being dictated as a parent on what you should do and how you should raise your own kids in your own home. Because it don't look like she was out in the public nowhere. It looks like she was in a home when this happened. It's becoming alarming that the government tells you and dictates how you raise your kids. A hard whooping like that kept me out of trouble. Because I at that time I knew that my parents wasn't playing with me. If I tried it again, I knew what was coming. But now the government says you should not hit your child. You should not chastise your child in such a way. Find a lighter way to do that. And kids now these days, they're so in tune to the streets, and whatever they're hearing out in the streets goes. They feel that it applies to them. And it becomes hard to raise them at that point. It's hard because they already adapted to what they have heard from the radio or from the street life. And it's kind of hard at that point to raise them and teach them right from wrong. And I say all that to say this: if you can't chastise your child or your children, they're gonna chastise you. And then we're wondering why a lot of our parents are on the wrong side of the stick when it's come to raising kids, because the kids are now raising the parents. They are the ones that killing the parents. They are the ones that's beating the parents. They are the ones that going out there doing this and that. And because the parents does not have control anymore. It's whatever the child does is correct. It's all right. So to say that what she done was absolutely wrong is nonsense. If you ask me, could she did it in a better way? I would say maybe and yes. There is ways that you can go about doing things. I'm not against that, but I am against someone going into someone's life and home and telling them how to raise their child when you don't have to live there. You don't support that child. You don't, that child don't have to answer to you. And you dictate how that child is raised. I do have a problem with that. Because that mother that gave birth and life to that child cares about her child. And for whatever reason that brought on that whooping, that we call it, she felt that that child needed that. So in the future, it won't happen again. So to go out on a limb and say she was totally 100% wrong, no, she wasn't. She was halfway right. What's your thought? I mean, I mean, have you saw this in the news?
Yeah, I have saw it. It popped up on my phone, and I watched it and saw it on Fox 10. And, I would like to see more understanding from community leaders on this matter. The fact of the matter is that if tutelage is not instructed or instilled, then what happens is children go astray. And what we're seeing is the fact that even the city council, we're talking about possibly bringing back, possibly bringing back some type of form of corporal punishment.
Well,
The reality of it is that tutelage does need to happen. If the parent doesn't do it, then who does? Who's supposed to do it? The jail, the teachers. And the reality is that we have to stand against that. And I just think that Birch is out on its way out, but um, it's criminal to tear down something, especially in Alabama. It's shocking, and it happened in Alabama where people usually don't spare the rod, or try not to because they live by Christian values. And we understand that teaching starts at home.
Right.
So, the court system is going to do what it does, but it's time for a community to really stand up against things like this.
Yeah, and you brought up corporal punishment in schools. They didn't want the corporate punishment. They took that out of schools. That was harsh. They said beating a child and abusing a child. I got corporate punishment in school too, and I said I go back to say, I mean, it helped me.
Yeah, it definitely helped me.
Because I was a terrible child in school.
Yeah, well, I was terrible, but I was getting in trouble like frequently, and I was at Dunbar downtown, Credit for Performing Arts School, and I remember Mr. Mixon. He went on to be working school board, and then I think now he's a principal somewhere else. But Mr. Mixon gave me that paddle, 3 licks, and I can tell you, and I'm not exaggerating one bit, This was in sixth grade, I think. I'm not exaggerating one bit, but I have not gotten in trouble since then.
Wow.
You know,
You know,
so
it helped. It helped so many people.
it, it changed my mind. It changed my whole concept. It changed my whole life.
Yeah. And but man, um there are so many. I know. But I'm gonna say it this way: there are so many parents out there that we don't even know anything about that's going through the same thing that these teachers going through, um, because of the child have went and said that their mother hit them or their father hit them, not in a bad and negative way, but it was in a positive way. But the child have it instilled into their mind that it's an abuse because that's what they heard, and that was someone telling them. I know several individuals going through the same thing right now, where their kids have been taken away from them because of the simple fact, that their children going to school, um, and saying that their parents was hitting them at home, because they don't want the whoopings, and now their parents is suffering the consequences of chastising their child. Um, it's happening, and the government is stepping in and saying that no, you can't do this. This is not the way you raise your child or no child. You know, and giving the green light to the kids to do whatever they want to do to become problem children, and not good productive citizens. You know, we wonder why we have so much bullying in schools, and we wonder why we have so many kids on the street corners, and the youth centers filling up, and so many juveniles and so forth committing crimes that we think they're, um, when commit. And then we get on these TV and the talk shows and the radio shows, and we talk about, we need, it starts at home. Training starts at home. Leadership starts at home. But how can it start at home when you telling, um, when you are telling parents
Mm-hmm.
that they cannot chastise their child?
Right.
That is wrong. you know. And then we wonder why kids are picking up the guns and killing their own parents, why they're beating their parents, you know. But all of this could have been avoided if we let parents be parents
Mm-hmm.
and not let the kids um, control their parents. So, yeah, I mean, and back to what I mean, Mr. Grove, I mean, um, it's just flat out wrong, man, that, that this woman have to go through this and that she cannot raise her child as she sees fit, and as a mother, what she believes
Yeah.
best for her child.
Yeah. 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 I seen something similar, not exactly, but something similar in Florida, where if you leave your dog or your pet outside for too long, you can get arrested. Yeah. Um, if you don't have a place for them to actually have cover, have water, and have like a little refuge from the hot sun, then you can get arrested for animal cruelty. A lot of different, silly laws are coming about, I guess, to protect those vulnerable individuals. Um, but dogs are going to be dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs go that same way of doing what they do best, and that's survive. But children need to be taught in a lot of ways. Children lack the instinct that dogs have. Children, dogs will survive by any means necessary, and their instincts take over in a lot of ways. But children need tutelage,
Mm-hmm.
and that involves, spankings. I mean, I for one got lots of them growing up, and you know, it just happened around sixth grade with Mr. Mixon. It just clicked. You know, it's like you know, and even though my parents, you know, were doing their thing too, it's like it just stopped. I never got in trouble again. You know, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, me the same here, man. I'm just thankful, that it have taught me a lot as well. Um, and I try to tell mines, and teach them right from wrong without having to uh go the extra mile of that step. Now, sometimes I do. I have to, because sometimes kids will take you as a joke and think, you're playing with them and you're not for real. And you have to, let them know who's in charge. And the Bible even said about sparing the rod. And um, I just can't, all of these Republicans, they call themselves Christians and they don't even read or understand their Bible. And they try to run government and run lives according to Christian values, but they don't understand biblical values. You can't be a Christian if you don't understand biblical values and what the Bible, what the Word of God says. Not just reading and quoting scripture, but you have to understand what you're reading and quoting. And, it's sad, that Paul Burgess in the state of mind that he's in, um, they tried to, punish this woman, for the simple fact that, she's doing what's best for her household, her family, her life, and her child's life. Mr. Grove up in Mount Vernon, man, the police chief, Eric Petway, was fired on yesterday. After arriving to work, found out he was fired, and the town Eric Peoples dismissed him, saying that him and the council came to an agreement to dismiss him. And when did that happen? I'm not sure when the council made that decision. If it was made in open public, if it was behind closed doors, that's another problem. But just to let this man walk on his job one day and to find out he don't have a job, that's really bad. Simply because I don't know if you've seen the news that broke out on Fox 10, where they exposed the officer. They saying it was allegedly Officer Brazier that did the taser of the inmate. That mistreated the inmate up there in Mount Vernon, and then the chief had took action and said it was wrong and out of protocol. And now they're saying all of this is stemming from that incident because the chief came out on the right side versus the wrong side. And it seemed like the mayor and the police department, or that police or certain police there, was covering up things. And they didn't want things to be brought to light. I've been trying to find out about this individual who was tased there in Mount Vernon. I've been unable to find that information out just yet. I've been trying to reach out to them. I've been trying to reach also out to former Chief Petway to get his side of the story and see do he want to go and deal with me about it. Because I'm pretty sure there's more that he want to say. He did tell Fox 10 that he may speak more in the future. There's a lot more. There's always two sides to a story. There's a lot more that that's going on that we don't know. But I just find it wrong, for a town and its mayor that's already going through hardship. Have a good chief to come in, and try to, help the town, and you get rid of him because, he got on the right side of this matter and then remain on the wrong side. I just don't see where these people mindsets are that call themselves leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You promise to be transparent. You promise to lead with this and that, and you're not doing anything because you don't see the progression of the town is at a standstill or going backwards. Um, you know, how do you do something like this? How do you just step in and get rid of your chief because he spoke truth? He stood up for what was right.
Mm-hmm.
What's your
Yeah.
thoughts about it? I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, when it comes down to, and I did hear the story, I followed it somewhat. Um, Mount Vernon is very close to Mobile. You know, it definitely has a history and a past connected to similarities that Mobile and the people of Mobile have gone through. Um, you know, you can almost understand what's going on just by reading a snippet or understanding a little bit. We have to understand um, it from the facts, and I mean, I wish him the best. I think that it would be tough, just like the school teacher we just talked about. The public firing, the public, scrutiny of school teacher beating a child. Those things are damaging. Even if she's found innocent, even if the guy goes and try to apply for another job, they're going to be scrutinizing their immediate past. You know, it's it's baffling to me. It's one of those things like you heard just what last year, maybe 2 years ago, where this guy was found with this young lady, and he was a school teacher uh, in the back of a Walmart, but the judge allowed him to move out of state with his family. And what else? What else was heard about that? You know, I think that in a lot of ways, some people are protected, and then some people are um, villainized through public media, through the public circuit. Whereas people with real power or titles, I should say, like Donald Trump, doesn't really get that villainization. He doesn't really get villain. He doesn't really get looked at as the villain because of that title of being president. And I think that it's time that we put our money where our mouth is and really show up like we're supposed to, um, and do what we're supposed to by getting people out of office. But I feel like for him, scapegoat is the best name that I can see for for him, someone like him. He's being punished for someone else's stuff. He's a scapegoat at the end of the day. Yes, Mr. Gary, it's tough. It's tough to actually say exactly what is going to transpire from that. I mean, obviously they're going to have to hire someone else, right? Um, but at the same time, I think that is he can probably go get him a job somewhere else. Hopefully, that's a tough gig to actually replicate anywhere else, especially in a bigger town. Mount Vernon isn't that huge, right? So,
Right, right. Man, I'm sorry, I got lost, got cut off there. Yeah, but what I was saying, I was actually talking. I didn't even, it just went out. There are some, individual there in Mount Vernon is saying that there may be a bigger cover up. That was happening there in the town between, the administration and the police officers. And they were scared that it was about to get exposed because the chief went on the right side and went against what was going on. And they felt that it was time for him to go, and they made that call to get him out of there. And we see around Alabama, around the country now, where a lot of these mayors are being arrested, city councilmen, the police. Look at Mississippi. All of the county elected sheriffs and the police officer that was arrested a month ago, or maybe less than a month ago, over Mississippi, in several counties and towns, all the way from central Mississippi all the way to the Tennessee line, that was operating major drug operations while they are serving as elected officials, as sheriffs and police, wearing the badges. But this is, something more may come out about this unexpected that we probably wouldn't think of. But I do I possibly think that several lawsuits can be on now against the town. Or I know maybe one from the chief, and then the other from the gentleman that was treated the way he was while he was in handcuffs by this police officer there.
okay.
So man, this is an interesting story, but I will continue to reach out and try to. I really want to find out who that gentleman was that was that victim that had to go endure all of this and get his side of the story. And then I also want to talk to Mr. Petway and see if there's anything else he would like to share and bring to the light. But yeah, man, this is something serious.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this has been a another edition of Uplifting Buzz podcast on this awesome and wonderful Thursday. Eating with my co-host, Mr. Marcus Grove of Uplift Mobile. You can visit Uplift Mobile at upliftmobile.org. And also Buzz Report Media at buzzreportnews.com, and we bring you all of the latest happenings in and around the mobile area and keep you informed as things are happening. As always, man, it's an honor to be able to bring this show to our listening audience and those that are following us. Please continue to do so by liking our social media pages and also subscribing to all of our podcasts on all of the podcast streaming services. As we get ready to get out of here, Mr. Grove, we are almost end of our open enrollment season. And you want to remind the listening audience how they can get in contact with you just in case they're in need or assistance of open enrollment or trying to find themselves a help plan.
Yeah, so we have been assisting lots of people around the Gulf Coast this open enrollment season. If you're needing any type of Medicare health plans, do feel free to reach out on www.workwithgip.com, and we can most certainly assist you with any type of plans you need, and any type of questions that you have as well. So, feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to assist you.
All right, y'all heard it for you all, for yourselves on how to get in contact with Mr. Grove and his team, just in case you need any assistance in the open enrollment period and finding some health insurance before the new year kicks in, and you'll be covered and be up under the right plan to meet your healthcare needs. Once again, this has been the Uplifting Buzz podcast, and we are grateful and thankful for each and every one of you listening to us on this awesome and wonderful Thursday. Until we meet again right here, same pace on Tuesday. Please be blessed. Enjoy your weekend until we talk again on Tuesday. God bless you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to another episode of Uplifting Buzz Podcast with Gary Johnson and Marcus Grove, where we bring you non-biased conversations that focus on all things happening yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Visit our website and share your thoughts and stay informed. Until next time, be blessed.